Alright, so let's take a look inside. Wow, look at that deliciousness. Yeah, that's gonna take a lot of cleaning. I'll probably use some ISO, some vinegar, and really give that a good scrubbing. Vinegar is really good with eating all that battery acid away, and I usually let it soak in for a little bit and then clean it out with some ISO. Well, I'm gonna come back to this guy here and clean it out a bit later, but let's go ahead and disconnect the screen here. So you just want to pull it, it'll come right out. Let me grab one that I know it's gonna work for now, at least. It's got some corroded battery contacts, but other than that, it's pretty clean. So let's go ahead, well, let me go ahead and remove this one. Remove the board first. That way I'll probably just connect it to the bench power supply here, so I don't gotta take my batteries out. It's a lot quicker, and the battery contacts are probably corroded, so they will need to be cleaned out pretty good for them to work with batteries. Alright, so we're gonna connect the bench power supply here. Yeah, I need to get some new wires here. Had to hot glue them to keep it in place, but it gets the job done for now. Alright, let's go ahead and connect the screen. Push it in there gently. Alright, so we're gonna put in 6 volts, and let's see, what do we got? What was the contrast? Yep, look at that, lots of lines. Alright, well, now we know at least it works. Let's go ahead and take the screen out of the shell and see what we can do about it. Alright, so I took or undid all the screws behind the scene, because you don't want to watch me unscrew. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws, because I'm sure you know how to do that. Alright, put the shell on the side. So once you get that out, I want to go ahead and connect it back up to the board. Get it in there gently. Don't want to rip that. Alright, so you want to lay it down with the screen facing you. And we're going to go ahead and connect the bench power supply again. I'm going to give it 6 volts. Well, before we give it 6 volts here, you want to go ahead and remove this little gasket here. Now, you don't necessarily have to take the main board out of the shell. The only reason I did it was battery contacts were pretty corroded, so the batteries didn't work, so I just took it out to give it a good clean after I test the screen here, and to be able to use the bench power supply here. That way I don't gotta take the batteries in and out. So if you don't have the bench power supply, you can just you know, keep the batteries in, or keep this in the shell and use batteries, and just connect the screen the same way as if this was in the shell. So once you got that connected, you want to remove this little rubber I guess gasket or whatever it is. Basically a seal that kind of holds the screen and the contacts in place. You want to be gentle, you don't want to pry the screen out, but it usually comes out pretty easy. You can use an X-Acto knife, so just kind of get right under there and slowly and gently get it out of the way. So once you get this up, then you can use the grippers and gently peel it away. Most of the time you get that adhesive still stuck to the board. If you're gentle with it, that should also come off. Maybe not this time, but it usually does. You just go slow, and you want to get that off because you have to go with the hot air or soldering gun basically all the way up along the screen here. So you don't want to melt the tape on there, and you want to keep this rubber piece here because you're going to put it back. You're going to need to get some either double-sided sticky tape or some 3M tape to put it back on. All right. Okay, so once you remove this little rubber piece here, you're gonna need to warm up your soldering gun. Now I usually warm it up to same temperature I would normally use for soldering. I usually have it at 650 Fahrenheit, you know. Well, usually I have it 650 to fix the lines here. I usually like to use higher temperature for this because you don't want to have high temperature but spend as less time as possible on here, because you don't want it to get too hot for a long period of time. And you're gonna just basically work your soldering gun up around here. Just going up and down and across. And you'll see the lines start to fade away. So you're gonna want to turn it on. Well, it would help if I give it power first. Turn it on here, and you just slowly start working your way. Now I like to basically lay the entire tip on the film here. That way you get as much heat spread as possible. See, as soon as you do that, the lines start to fade away. Do the same here. I'm gonna go up and down slowly and across here. Just kind of work your way in here, and then you go like this. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but I think I seen that the more heat I put on, the faster the lines start to fade in or fill up. Because I started using lower temperature at first, and it would take a long time for all the lines to fade in there. So I started slowly increasing the temperature, and I found out that higher temperature seems to work better and faster. Okay, so once you get rid of all the lines, just check over again, power it on and off a few times, check your contrast, make sure no lines reappear. You can put a game in to see how it is, but usually it's gonna be fine. So go ahead, power it on, and we're gonna go ahead and put this little rubber piece back on here. I usually just use a bit of 3M tape. So what I would do is just cut off a little piece here. Find my scissors. So I would just basically the size and the length of the rubber piece. So just about that much. Cut a little strip, and we're gonna just apply that strip on there. So reapply it right below the screen here. I guess I could have lined that up a little better, but you'll be all right. So put one side down, and then remove the top piece of paper. Just gotta be careful so the sticky side stays on. So go ahead, remove that, and we're gonna put this back on here. You want to get it as close as possible to the screen, and just slowly make sure it stays on there. So essentially what this does is basically the shell applies a bit of pressure on here, which was supposed to keep this ribbon cable in place so it wouldn't break away from the screen, but I guess it wasn't doing a good job. But now since we reflowed it, it should be all right. So at this point we're basically done. So you just want to go ahead and well, you don't have to remove it. Just give it a good clean, wipe the screen down. You don't want any dust on there or any fingerprints, and you can put your Game Boy back together with a good working screen. All right, that was it. I hope you're able to fix yours and bring your Game Boy back to life.